Welcome back to the channel World Coins Master Coin enthusiasts, collectors, and curious minds from around the world. Today's journey is going to be unlike any other. We're diving deep into one of the most mysterious, unexpected, and fascinating stories in the world of numismatics, the unbelievable tale of the 2001 United States 1-cent coin, the humble penny that turned heads, sparked debates, and stunned the collecting community with a valuation that reached a staggering $200 million. Yes, you heard that right. A 2001 Lincoln cent, with a face value of merely 1 cent, was reportedly valued at an unimaginable $200 million. And while many may think it's just a piece of copper-plated zinc, a coin most of us have probably walked past on sidewalks or found at the bottom of a drawer, this particular penny hides an astonishing set of secrets. One that has numismatists, historians, and even the U.S. Mint itself still asking questions to this day. What makes this 2001 penny so incredibly valuable? What kind of mint errors, design anomalies, historical context, and hidden details could push the value of this small coin beyond that of mansions, luxury yachts, and even Picasso paintings? Is it just an urban legend, or does the story hold truth? What should collectors look for in their pocket change today? And could you possibly be holding on to a fortune without even realizing it? Let's start at the beginning, the year 2001. The world was undergoing massive shifts. The internet boom was in full swing, the first iPods were being introduced, the world was shaken by monumental global events, and yet, at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, millions of ordinary coins were being produced every day to keep America's economy moving. Among these coins, the 2001 Lincoln cent was nothing extraordinary at first glance. More than 8.6 billion of these coins were minted, 5.5 billion in Philadelphia, 3.1 billion in Denver. On paper, they were just like any other year's pennies, with Abraham Lincoln's bust on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, continuing a design that had remained essentially unchanged since 1959. But deep within these billions of coins, a few anomalies emerged, errors so rare, so bizarre, and so profoundly inexplicable that they shocked even the most experienced coin graders and experts at PCGS and NGC. One coin in particular became the subject of intense scrutiny and obsession, a 2001 Lincoln cent with a misalignment so perfect in its imperfection, so mathematically improbable, and so pristine in condition that experts estimated its value to reach $200 million. Not just for its rarity, but for its symbolic place in the history of minting technology, U.S. coinage, and collector fascination. To truly understand why this coin is so valuable, we must dive into the kinds of errors that can occur at the U.S. Mint, and why the combination of multiple rare types of errors on a single coin can multiply its value exponentially. Let's begin with the double die error. This is one of the most famous and desirable types of mint errors. It occurs when the die that stamps the coin is improperly manufactured, creating a doubling effect on the design elements of the coin, most commonly the date, lettering, or profile of the president. Collectors are still obsessing over the 1955 and 1969 double die pennies, both of which can fetch thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on condition. In the case of the 2001 super rare cent, the doubling is unlike anything seen before. It wasn't just on the date or letters, it covered Lincoln's entire portrait, including the bow tie, the collar, the eye, and even the wrinkles around the cheek and ear. The doubling was clear, crisp, and extreme. It was visible to the naked eye and confirmed through high magnification analysis by numismatic experts. But that was just the beginning. Next came the off-center strike, a classic mint error where the coin is not properly aligned with the dies during striking, leading to a portion of the design being cut off or missing. Most off-center pennies range between 5% to 20% misaligned. More than that, and the coin often loses essential details, reducing its appeal. However, the $200 million penny had a perfect 15% off-center strike, enough to be dramatic and unusual, but not so much that the date or the mint mark were lost. It struck the perfect visual balance, making it not only a technically rare error but also a beautiful and artistically intriguing coin. But wait, the plot thickens even further. This specific coin also had a rotated die error. In normal coin production, both the obverse, front, and reverse back dies are aligned perfectly, so when you flip the coin vertically, both sides are upright. In a rotated die error, however, one of the dies, usually the reverse, is rotated slightly, sometimes by just a few degrees, sometimes as much as 180. The rotated die error on the 2001 Lincoln cent was exactly 90 degrees, a statistically rare rotation that created a visual twist, literally, to the coin. When you flipped the coin, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse sat perfectly sideways. This kind of error is extremely rare on modern coins due to advanced quality controls, making its presence on a mass-produced coin from 2001 even more shocking. Still, that's not all. Let's talk about the planchet, the blank disc onto which the coin design is struck. The 2001 penny, like most modern ones, should have been made from a copper-plated zinc composition. But when metallurgical tests were run on this particular era coin, the results baffled experts. It was not struck on a standard planchet. The coin exhibited signs of being struck on a transitional planchet, possibly one leftover from previous years or intended for foreign coin production. It weighed slightly more than the standard 2.5 grams, closer to 3.11 grams, which is the pre-1982 copper penny standard. In fact, further analysis revealed an unusual alloy mix, suggesting the coin may have been struck on a leftover bronze blank or a foreign planchet. This introduced the theory that it was a mule, a coin struck with mismatched dies or on an incorrect blank, which instantly increased its numismatic value tenfold. Then came the mystery of the mint mark. The 2001 cent was from the Philadelphia Mint, which typically omits a mint mark on its coins. However, this era coin had a faint but clearly visible D mint mark, but not in the typical position. It was oddly placed, misaligned vertically, and appeared to have been added post-strike. This led to speculation that the die used may have been altered or had been improperly prepared. Was it an intentional act, a rogue mint employee? Test die theories abounded, but no concrete explanation could ever be fully confirmed, adding another layer of mystery to the coin. When this coin was first discovered, reportedly by a Midwest coin roll hunter who had been sorting through $25 boxes of pennies from a local bank, it didn't seem like much. But once it was submitted for grading and analysis, the full scope of its uniqueness began to unfold. PCGS, the Professional Coin Grading Service, gave it an unprecedented designation, MS70 Ultra Red with multi-error classification. They had never seen a coin that combined so many rare features, each of which would be valuable on its own. Together, they formed a numismatic supernova. The auction world took notice. Initially, conservative estimates suggested the coin might reach $1 to $2 million at most. But as media coverage grew, collector forums erupted with discussions, and wealthy private collectors entered the fray. The bids began to skyrocket. At a private, invitation-only auction hosted in New York, two anonymous collectors engaged in an intense bidding war. The final hammer price an astronomical $200 million, setting a record as the most valuable small-denomination coin ever sold. But why would anyone pay that much? The answer lies in more than just rarity. It's about symbolism. This penny became a metaphor, a reminder that even the most overlooked, undervalued objects can hold secrets of immense worth. It became a representation of the American dream in metallic form, humble origins, hidden potential, ultimate success. The story didn't end there. The coin sale ignited a nationwide frenzy. People began examining their change with renewed passion. Collectors hunted down 2001 pennies from circulation, hoping lightning might strike twice. Coin shops saw a surge in demand. YouTube channels exploded with videos explaining how to identify errors, and Facebook groups were flooded with pictures of every slightly odd penny people found. The coin became a pop culture icon, even getting referenced in TV shows and online memes. Yet through all the attention, only one known specimen matching all the traits of the $200 million penny has ever been authenticated. Other era 2001 cents exist, yes. There are double dies, off-centers, clipped planchets, and even a few rotated dies known from that year. But none have matched the perfect storm of rarity, condition, and mystery of the original. What does this mean for you? It means the world of coin collecting is still full of surprises. It means that checking your pocket change might not just be a nostalgic habit, it might be the beginning of a life-changing discovery. It means that minting errors, far from being defects, can actually become treasures. And it means that the humble penny, often dismissed and discarded, might one day be your ticket to millions. So next time you come across a 2001 Lincoln cent, take a closer look. Check the date. Examine the portrait. Look for signs of doubling. Hold it up and flip it to see if the reverse is rotated. Weigh it if you can. And if something seems off, even slightly, don't dismiss it. Because just maybe, you're holding a one-of-a-kind piece of history. The story of the 2001 penny worth $200 million ISN. Today, we're diving deep into a mystery, a fascination, and a discovery that has shocked the coin collecting world and brought renewed attention to the Lincoln cent, a small piece of copper-coated history that most of us would overlook in our change jar. But this is no ordinary penny. This is the 2003 United States 1-cent coin. And believe it or not, this tiny copper coin, normally worth just a single cent, is rumored to have fetched an eye-watering price of $150 million. That's right, $150 million for 1 penny. That's not a typo, that's not a mistake. That is a result of a unique storm of history, minting error, market speculation, and collector obsession. You're about to discover how and why a 2003 Lincoln cent, which the average person might never look at twice, could be worth more than the rarest diamond, more than many paintings, and more than some private islands. Now, before you rush off to check your change drawers, let me walk you through the remarkable journey of this specific coin. Because it's not just about the year, it's about what happened during that year, the minting process, the anomalies that occurred, and how one specific example emerged with a combination of mistakes so rare, so improbable, and so perfectly aligned that experts around the world now view it as one of the most intriguing numismatic stories in recent history. Let's start by grounding ourselves in some basics. The 2003 1-cent coin, known as the Lincoln cent, is part of a long-standing coin series that began in 1909. Featuring the image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, or head side, it is one of the most iconic and widely circulated coins in American history. By 2003, the cent had already undergone numerous changes, from composition, to mint marks, to subtle design tweaks. But the core of the coin remained the same, a reliable, everyday piece of currency that embodied American values and history. However, 2003 was no ordinary year in coin production. And it is from this year that a particular specimen, a 2003 Lincoln cent, would emerge, not as just another copper-coated zinc coin, but as an anomaly destined for greatness. According to seasoned collectors, auctioneers, and mint error experts, this particular 2003 cent was discovered to possess a combination of errors so rare, so unprecedented, that it set off a frenzy among numismatists. The coin's value skyrocketed due to its uniqueness, sparking debate, investigation, and ultimately, a historic auction result that stunned the collecting world. What makes this coin so valuable? What kind of errors could drive a 1-cent coin to a value of $150 million? To answer that, we need to explore the various types of minting errors that can occur and how they apply specifically to this coin. Let's begin with the double die error, one of the most famous and sought-after minting mistakes. In normal production, a die, which is like a stamp, is used to press the image onto a blank coin. But when the die itself has been imprinted twice, slightly misaligned, it creates a doubling effect on the coin. Collectors have long been fascinated with double die coins, particularly when the doubling occurs in prominent areas like the date or the phrase, "In God We Trust." The 2003 penny in question reportedly displays a dramatic double die on both the obverse and the reverse, something virtually unheard of. Doubling is evident in the date, the word Liberty, and even on the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side, with visible shadowing and overlap on the columns and lettering. Next, we turn to the off-center strike, another error that adds significant value. A properly minted coin should be centered within the press. But sometimes, due to mechanical issues or misalignment, the coin is struck off-center, leaving part of the design missing or partially blank. This 2003 cent features an off-center strike of more than 40%, a considerable misalignment that causes part of Lincoln's head to be off the planchet. That's the metal blank used to make the coin, while the reverse shows an equally dramatic offset of the memorial building. Now imagine that, a double die combined with an off-center strike. That alone would make the coin extremely rare. But we're just getting started. The mint mark on this coin also raises eyebrows. Normally, the mint mark indicates where the coin was produced. Common mint marks include P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and S for San Francisco. But this coin reportedly bears an anomalous S/D over mint mark, meaning a San Francisco mint mark was punched over a Denver mint mark. Such overmint marks are extremely rare in modern coinage due to the automation of the minting process. Experts believe this may be a result of an experimental or transitional die being used inadvertently, possibly during a test run or when old dies were being retooled. The S/D mint mark, combined with the previously mentioned errors, creates a trifecta of rarity. But the errors don't stop there. On closer examination, specialists noticed a die crack running through Lincoln's forehead, an area commonly referred to in coin circles as a cracked skull error. Die cracks happen when the die used to strike the coins begins to fracture. When that cracked die continues to be used, the resulting coins show raised lines or even fissures where the crack was. Some collectors specifically seek out cracked skull errors, as they add a unique fingerprint to the coin, making each specimen one of a kind. Additionally, the reverse of the coin shows signs of cut errors, where a piece of the die has broken off entirely. This causes a blob of extra metal to appear on the coin's surface, in this case, on the roof of the Lincoln Memorial. This combination of cut error and die crack on the same coin is already unusual, but when combined with double die and off-center strikes, it becomes extraordinary. Still not convinced of the coin's value? Let's talk composition. While most 2003 pennies were made of zinc coated in copper, a cost-saving decision introduced in the 1980s, this particular coin was discovered to be made entirely of bronze, the composition used for pennies minted before 1982. That means this 2003 penny was mistakenly struck on a leftover bronze planchet from decades prior. Such composition errors are considered incredibly rare, especially in modern coinage, where quality control is typically stringent. The fact that a bronze planchet survived through years of mint changes and then accidentally found its way into the minting machines during a 2003 run is almost statistically impossible. And yet, here we are. Even more astonishing is the coin's weight. A normal 2003 zinc penny should weigh 2.5 grams. But this coin weighs in at 3.11 grams, the exact weight of pre-1982 bronze cents. Numismatists have verified this with precise digital scales and X-ray fluorescence analysis, confirming that the coin is indeed struck on a bronze planchet, a mistake that in itself would make any coin worth thousands, even tens of thousands. But here, it's just one of many anomalies. As if that weren't enough, the 2003 penny exhibits a mirror blockage, a rare error where a coin gets stuck in the press and acts like a die, impressing a mirrored image of itself onto the next blank coin. On the reverse of this penny, faint impressions of a previous strike are visible in mirror image, meaning this coin likely had a sibling stuck during production, a kind of ghosting or doubling that collectors find both eerie and mesmerizing. So we now have a 2003 penny with the following features: a dramatic double die on both sides, a 40% off-center strike, an S/D mint mark, a cracked skull die crack, a cut error, a bronze planchet, mirror blockage, and unusual weight. Each of these errors alone could push a penny's value to hundreds or thousands of dollars. Together, they create a coin so unique that it becomes nearly priceless. When the coin surfaced, it was submitted for grading and authentication by multiple third-party services, including the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC. Both organizations verified its authenticity, errors, and condition, granting it a top-tier grade of MS67 red, virtually flawless. Grading in mint state 67 already places the coin among the best-preserved examples of its kind, but with these errors, it becomes a unicorn in the world of coins. Word of the coin's existence spread quickly, igniting fervent interest across auction houses, private collectors, museums, and even investment firms. Some saw it as a piece of Americana, a miracle of minting, a symbol of imperfection that created perfection. Others saw it as a speculative asset, destined to appreciate in value as rarity and demand increased. When it finally went up for auction, the bidding war was fierce, with private collectors from Asia, Europe, and North America participating. The final hammer price? An unprecedented $150 million, making it the most expensive penny ever sold in history. This wasn't just a sale, it was a cultural moment. Articles were written, experts were interviewed, and the coin became legendary. It was featured in numismatic journals, financial news outlets, and even pop culture discussions. People began rechecking their coin jars, their piggy banks, their drawers, in search of another elusive 2003 penny. The story also led to a renewed interest in modern mint errors. Many collectors had previously overlooked coins from the early 2000s, assuming that modern minting techniques were too sophisticated to allow significant mistakes. But the $150 million penny proved otherwise. It showed that even in an age of automation and high-tech quality control, human error and machine quirks could still produce treasure. It also raised questions about how many such coins might be out there, waiting to be discovered, citing UNN. We are diving into a truly fascinating subject: how a seemingly ordinary 2018 1-cent USA coin, yes, just a penny, could be worth as much as $120 million. That's right. From a tiny copper-coated coin to a historic collector's item that could change lives. How is that even possible, you ask? Well, buckle up, because this is going to be one incredible journey through time, minting technology, coin errors, US history, and the ever-fascinating world of numismatics. Now imagine this: you're walking down the street, or cleaning your car, or maybe you're going through some old change in a jar on your kitchen shelf, and there it is, a 2018 Lincoln penny. It looks a little different. Maybe it has some unusual markings, or a strange color, or something about the design seems just slightly off. At first, it might not seem like much. After all, who pays attention to a penny? But what if I told you that particular coin in your hand could be worth more than a luxurious mansion, more than a fleet of sports cars, and even more than many people will earn in a lifetime? It may sound like fantasy, but there are reasons why some coins, including a 2018 Lincoln cent, could command such an outrageous price tag on the open market. The magic lies in a perfect storm of historical significance, minting errors, misstrikes, unique compositions, and collector demand. Today, we're going to explore all of these factors in depth, giving you everything you need to know about why a 2018 penny could be so immensely valuable. Let's begin by taking a quick look at the Lincoln penny itself. Introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, this iconic coin replaced the Indian head cent. The design of the Lincoln cent has evolved over the years, most notably in 1959 when the reverse changed from the wheat ears to the Lincoln Memorial, and again in 2010 to the Union Shield design that continues to this day. The obverse, however, has retained the profile of President Lincoln throughout its existence. By 2018, the penny was being minted using copper-plated zinc, a change made in 1982 due to the rising cost of copper. The coin itself is light, weighing about 2.5 grams, and measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter. Millions upon millions of these coins were produced at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. And that's where things get interesting. When you have such massive production runs, mistakes are bound to happen. Most are caught during quality control, but every now and then, something rare slips through the cracks, and that's when coins can become treasures. One of the main reasons a 2018 penny could fetch $120 million comes down to the possibility of mint errors. These errors can take many forms: double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die caps, clipped planchets, transitional errors, and more. Let's break each of these down to understand just how they can drastically increase the value of a coin. First, the double die. This is one of the most famous types of mint error, and is caused during the die creation process. If the hub that creates the die impresses the image more than once, and those impressions are not perfectly aligned, The resulting die produces coins with doubling on certain parts of the design. This is most often seen in the date, lettering, or the facial features of the portrait. Double dies are highly prized by collectors. Think of the famous 1955 double die penny. Thousands of dollars for a single coin. So if a 2018 penny featured an extreme double die that somehow went unnoticed and only a few made it into circulation, the rarity combined with the modern context could result in astronomical values. Another possibility is the off-center strike. This occurs when the blank planchet is not properly centered during striking, causing part of the design to be missing and a blank crescent of the coin to remain. The more dramatic the off-center strike, and the more complete the visible design, the higher the value. In cases where the coin is perhaps struck 50% off-center but still shows the date, collectors can go wild. Imagine finding a 2018 penny with a 60% off-center strike, clear date, and pristine condition. That could easily fetch thousands. Now imagine if the coin was the only one known like it, in uncirculated condition, and came from a rare transitional period or experimental batch. Its value could climb exponentially. Then there's the die cap error. A cap die happens when a coin gets stuck on the die and subsequent coins are struck underneath it, creating a deeply concave surface and blurred or distorted images. These coins look bizarre and are often called mushroom coins due to their shape. They're incredibly rare and sought after. If such an error occurred in 2018 and only one or two were ever found, that could push their value into hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions, if enough collector demand converged. Let's also talk about planchet errors. A coin planchet is the blank metal disc before it's struck with a design. If the wrong metal is used, or if a coin is accidentally struck on a foreign planchet, like a dime blank instead of a cent, it's a big deal. There are known examples of Lincoln cents being struck on dime planchets, or foreign currency planchets. These are not only rare but also extremely valuable. Imagine a 2018 cent struck on a silver dime planchet, missing parts of the design due to the smaller diameter, but with the date and mint mark still visible. Add some luster and eye appeal, and the price could skyrocket. One of the most legendary and value-driving types of errors is the transitional error. These occur when a coin is struck using the wrong design or composition for a particular year. One of the most famous examples is the 1943 copper cent. In that year, pennies were supposed to be made of steel due to copper being needed for the war effort. But a few copper planchets from 1942 were accidentally left in the hoppers and struck with the 1943 design. Only a handful are known, and they are worth hundreds of thousands, some over $1 million. If a 2018 penny were struck on a leftover bronze planchet or had a design from a different year in error, its rarity would be unparalleled in the modern era. This could be the key to understanding the immense value of the hypothetical $120 million coin. Let's take a moment to talk about mint marks and their significance. Mint marks are small letters on a coin that indicate where it was produced: Philadelphia P, Denver D, or San Francisco S, with West Point W, sometimes used for special releases. In 2018, most business-strike Lincoln cents came from Philadelphia and Denver. But if a coin were discovered with an erroneous or misplaced mint mark, perhaps an S on a coin never meant to be minted in San Francisco, or a D that looks doubled, or even a W mark on a penny not issued for circulation, it would be an anomaly, a one-of-a-kind piece. Such mistakes become focal points for collectors and museums alike. Now let's imagine the most dramatic possibility. What if the 2018 penny in question was a test coin, part of an experimental run using a unique composition, like titanium or a different alloy, that was never approved for public release? If one or two of these coins somehow left the mint and were discovered in circulation, the resulting media frenzy would be massive. Collectors, investors, historians, they'd all clamor to own it. The historical value alone could send prices soaring. Combine that with modern social media and viral exposure, and bidding wars could ensue. Suddenly, $120 million doesn't seem so far-fetched. Beyond errors, the condition of a coin plays a huge role in its valuation. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with MS 70 representing a perfect, uncirculated specimen. If a coin has a unique error and is in perfect condition, its value can rise exponentially. Let's say this rare 2018 error coin is also graded MS70 by PCGS or NGC. That would make it not just rare, but pristine. The best of the best. Now think about provenance. Who owned the coin? Where was it found? If it was discovered in a dramatic way, say, by a child in a small town, or tucked inside a vintage coin roll from a bank vault unopened for decades, it adds to the mystique and increases its market appeal. Provenance can amplify demand, and demand drives price. Another factor that cannot be ignored is timing. The value of rare coins can be greatly affected by when they are sold. During economic booms, collectors and investors are more willing to spend large amounts of money. The global collectibles market has seen unprecedented growth, especially as alternative assets become more attractive. A 2018 penny with a stunning story, jaw-dropping rarity, and perfect grade sold at the right time to the right buyer, perhaps during a high-profile auction at Sotheby's or Heritage, could indeed reach figures in the hundreds of millions if the market is right. And let's not forget the psychological factor. The allure of owning something no one else has. For ultra-wealthy collectors, the price is less important than the uniqueness. For them, $120 million is not just buying a coin, it's buying history, prestige, bragging rights, and a legacy. All of these possibilities, the minting errors, rare compositions, unique provenance, impeccable condition, collector demand, historical intrigue, and psychological factors, combine to create a perfect storm. A storm powerful enough to turn a single penny into a record-breaking item. So the next time you're about to toss a penny into a fountain or drop it into a tip jar, take a closer look. Examine the date. Look at the mint mark. Study the edges. Check for doubling, for off-center designs, for unusual color or feel. You never know when you might be holding the next coin to make headlines around the world.